hands-on labs for from anyone? What we tried yesterday, did you guys try to replicate the things? Okay, so let me just log in. Okay, which folder is yours, Brian? Which folder you are using? User 2, is it?
Yes.
Okay. So you see that you had an issue while importing the source or something? You have a source. Okay, I see.
For the target, not the source.
Okay, target.
Yes.
Source, you trying to import it?
No, the source I already imported.
Okay,
But
source
the
is
target,
available.
I couldn't import. Yeah,
Okay,
the target is, I did import it, but it's only like 2 tables, 2 dummy tables.
Okay, there was only 2 dummy tables were there in the user 2 schema, you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay, you have that user 2 schema, right? At least you have that, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let me just log in there and then let's check. So the password is also the same, right?
Right.
Yeah, Brian. So there are a lot of tables here. Okay, to avoid the confusion now, and what I'll do is that I'll create a different users for you all, and then you can just start using it like a old approach. Okay, so I see that a lot of tables are available here. And who is the user one? Is that Sohail? You are the user one who is using it? Okay, Syed. Okay, one second, and let me just user one is Syed and user 2 is Brian. And okay, so hi Pramit, what is your user? I mean, what is your user ID which you are using?
I haven't used it yet.
But did you get the?
Let me check my email.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Let me check my email.
The forest Malik. Yes, I like yeah. The people who have joined, I mean, today, and just give me some time. Kindly make a user by name. It is easy to remember. Is it possible? Yes, definitely we'll do that, and just give us a moment.
I'm user 8.
User?
Ramit. User 8. 8.
Okay, user 8. And this is for Pramit. I just gave user 5 to user 5. I gave it to this Prashant, right? So Prashant, you can just use that. So what I'll do is to avoid the confusions now. What I'll do is I'll create the user IDs for all of you with your names, only the database accounts, but still you have to use the same user ID what is being provided to you to log into the remote box. We don't have much control on that because it's already set up. And I'm going to create the database accounts for you, database accounts with your names. So as per yesterday, what we tried to do is that database accounts with your names, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do database accounts with your name and then use those schemas as your target schema. So for Cyan, it will be Cyan, and for Brian, it will be the target schema will be Brian, and for Sohail, the database target schema will be Sohail. Yeah, Informatica, yes, I do the Informatica, but the folders what is being assigned to you will be the same. I'll create the database, I mean user accounts also for you on the Informatica, and I'll do that. One second, just give me some time. Okay. I see that there are disturbances. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 days we'll have something like this, and then Prashant, and then the Pramit. For others, I'll just talk to you guys. I mean, what you have to follow. And Syed, okay. So what I'll do, and now after the class, I will create maybe after first the other hands-on lab, I will create all the database accounts to all of you. Database account and the and the Informatica account, what is being there, and you can use. I'll mail you what is the user account and the Informatica account details in the mail, what you have to use, and but the folders what you have to use, right? So Syed, as usual, like you can use the user one folder to log in for Informatica, and Brian, you can use user two folder to do the hands-on lab, and Sohail, you can use user 3, and Malik user 4, Prashant user 5, user 4, and for Naresh and Nagesh, I'll just let you know, guys, what you have to follow. User 5 and Pramit user 6. These are all your Informatica working folders which you have to use and to log in. So I'll mail you the Informatica username and password and your target database schema and your password. So it will be the same thing. That will be names will be the same. I mean, database account name and the Informatica account name will be the same. I'm going to create it quickly. Just give me 5 minutes of time, and then we'll create, and then you can check it, and probably by the end of the class you can just confirm me whether you are able to do that or not, and we will proceed with the class. Just give me 5 minutes of time, and then we'll do that, because if again the user IDs are not working, or if you're logging in and all those things, if that is not working, then it will, you have to wait for one more day to verify all those things, or else you can just mail me quickly by 9 a.m. IST after checking it whether it is working or not, and I'll take a look at it and then do it. Okay, just give me 2 minutes. I'm not sharing my screen to create all the accounts quickly. I'll do that. Give me a moment. Accounts creation. So you can just check whether you're accessing the database or not by using the SQL Plus. And I've created the accounts, and Prashant, you can check it later because I've logged into that account now. So your details are as same. I mean, the same things what I have just shown you on the notepad. User 1, user 2, user 3, whatever you have. So these are all the names. Your database account. For Syed, it will be this one, and for Brian, this one. Sohail, Malik, Prashant. These are all your database user IDs, and password is also same. So you can just use that, and you can create the target tables in that schema. I mean, you can create the target tables in that schema. Those scripts I've already forwarded to you, what you have to forward. And those scripts, whatever we have run yesterday, and all those things, I have already given you that Informatica Labs PDF document, right? So inside that Informatica Lab PDF document, you have something called as a TDBU. Okay. So in that TDBU, you have to run only the two scripts. One is a TDBU, another is scd_ddl.sql. So run these two scripts to create all the tables, create the target tables, and then you start using your hands-on labs. That's it. So I'll mail you the Informatica user accounts, what user ID you have to use it, because it is taking a time and I'm not able to do it quickly. And I'll mail you the Informatica accounts. For the database accounts is the same for 5 of you, and for remaining guys, I'll just take it offline and then discuss with you what should be done for your case. Okay. So now we are going to proceed with the next hands-on labs what we have, and I already shared all the hands-on labs with you. So if you want to download this here, you can use the same credentials what I have forwarded you, and then start doing the hands-on lab. So that is what you can start doing the hands-on lab. So we are done with the first 3 hands-on lab. That is the first one to complete. Okay, that's fine. Thank you. So first three labs we have completed, and the next one is to understand about the simple designer futures. What we are going to understand about the simple designer futures. So let's take a look at the 4th hands-on lab and what are all the simple designer futures what we are going to see. Okay. So let me just take a go to the 4th hands-on lab. This is simple lab which is about the use of. Yeah, Pramit, I actually marked you as an organizer. Please check it out. Okay. So we are talking about the. Yeah, Pramit, you can just unmute yourself. I mean, mute yourself. Hello.
No, I'm trying to find one calcium.
Pramit, can you mute yourself, please? I mean, we hear a noise from your end, and it is causing trouble. Okay. So the 4th lab, which talks about the designer futures. These are all the simple designer futures, how you have to use them, and all those things we will discuss. So yeah, check it your end, Srinivas, and we don't have any control on that. You already are an organizer. You check it. I have not muted you anyhow. Yeah, others can hear me, I guess. So this is a simple hands-on labs to understand how to arrange the objects and how to remove the links, how to manually link it, and how to use the link path, how to use the auto link by name, position, and all those things. So one after the other, we will check it out. Now, to understand how to arrange the objects, so once you create the mapping, let's say you have created a mapping in the repository folder. Now I have to arrange all these objects. So to do that, now you can go. This is a mapping yesterday what we have created. So this is your m_ods_employee. So if you have actually logged in using administrator, please log off from that account on the Informatica on the remote boxes, because I can't take the control completely. Okay, so please do that. And there are few features which you have to understand in the designer. So in order to get rid of the navigator window, so you can use this option. In order to remove the output window from here, you can use this option. And if you have to arrange it in iconic fashion, so you can use arrange all iconic. So this is one thing that which you can arrange it in the proper fashion. Suppose let's say your mapping is not properly arranged, your links are not properly arranged, and it is becoming very difficult for you to do that. So then you can use this option, right click on it, arrange all iconic or arrange all. So it will arrange it in the proper fashion. So whatever is there. So, and whenever you want to remove the links between this, suppose let's say you have connected a link, differently, and you just want to remove this. You want to remove a link between these things. So in that case, so what you can do, you can just select the link and then click on delete option. Click on delete. So how you're going to do that? So you can just select a link and then click on delete button. So that will remove a link between the transformation. Suppose if you want to get rid of all the links between this, so you can just select all of them and then use a delete button. So these kind of features which you have it in the fourth lab. So how to use it, and this is just a fourth lab is actually designed to make, enhance your Informatica development process on the designer, how to use the different options, all those things you have. You can also connect the links between the transformations in a auto link. You can also auto link it. So how can you do a auto link? So just go to the layout option and then you have something called as an auto link feature. So go to layout and click on auto link. Let's say I want to auto link between the expression and the ODS underscore employee. Just select it. And do you want to do it by the name or you want to do it by the position? If you think that all the names are same between the two transformation, you can use a name. But I'm not sure that whether my names are correct or not. That's why I'm using auto link by position. First thing is employee ID. Second thing is name, date, height, and the type code. So just apply this. When you apply it, will automatically apply it. But in the real time, we cannot use this feature auto link by name and auto link by position because it causes an inconsistency of connectivity between the transformation. Suppose if it is not organized properly. So this is just a feature which you can see. Okay, so this is just a feature which you can use that to understand. And one more thing is about, suppose let's say I want to identify how the name column is being populated in the ODS underscore employee table. How the name column is being populated in the ODS underscore employee table. You can use the show field dependency. Right click on the field name and show field dependency. If you see this, it will tell you how your name is getting populated. It is being populated from the employee first name and last name, and employee is a source. Suppose if you want to see through the link path, that means how it is connected from source to the target, right click on it, select link path and then backward. So if you select it, it will automatically highlight all the inputs, what is being connected to you, what is being connected to the name. And if you want to highlight in both the directions, select link path, both forward and backward, so it will do that. So these are all the simple features which you have it in the fourth lab. So how to use all these features, you can just go through this lab and then understand how to use one after the other. And the other thing is about the moving of the ports. Moving of the ports is again a very simple option which you can see it in the this designer tab. Suppose whenever you create a expression transformation and if you just want to move this up and down or like this, you can just use it. And if you want to get rid of any column, you can use this scissor icon, and if you want to add a new field, you can use this icon. So all these simple features are there in the fourth hands-on lab. So that is how you can do the different things. So how to edit from shortcut to the port to the normal view. Suppose let's say I want to edit this expression and I directly want to go to this port. Just select that port and double click on it. It will take you to that port. These are all the simple options what you have, and you can explore more by testing the tool, and you can rigorously use the tool and use all the options and then find out how you can improve your usage with the tool. All these things you can directly access it by using it. So that's how you access the designer, and these designer features are also useful. So to understand your to understand your designer futures and all those things. This can be used. And lab number 4, which talks about that. And these are all the very basic labs that we have done. And for the people who have actually joined new and then have not practiced, so these are all the very basic labs we have done. Now, so in the last hands-on lab, what we have done, we have actually taken the data from a relational table called as a employee, and then we have loaded the data into the target table called as a ODS underscore employee, which is there in the TDBU schema or the user file schema, whatever the TDBU schema that you have loaded it. Now, to do the fifth lab, we'll just come back to that later. What is a debugger and how we are going to use a debugger in the real time, or how the debugger will help you to understand the Informatica logic. So the next thing, I'm going to do the next lab, that is the sixth lab. Here we are going to understand the new transformation. So let me just, so whatever the, one second, sorry, I just hanged in between. Okay, so whatever the steps that we have followed yesterday, we are going to follow the same steps again across. To do every hands-on lab, we are going to follow all these 8 steps. All these 8 steps we are going to follow. In this scenario, in the lab number 6, what we are going to do, we are going to read the data from the flat file. We are going to read the data from the flat file, and we are going to load the data into the target table, that is your relational table called as a ODS underscore time. ODS underscore time. So you're going to read the data from the flat file and then load the data into ODS underscore time. And in this lab, we are going to understand 2 transformations. So again, we are going to see how the expression transformation can be used, and the other thing is that how a filter transformation can be used. All those things, we will see that. So here we are going to read the data from the file called as a time.txt. We are going to read the data from the file called as a time.txt and then load the data into target table called as a ODS underscore time, which is there in your target schema. So when you are using it, use your own schema to do the hands-on lab. So now let's understand about the type of flat files. What you come across in the real time. So the first thing is that flat files are of 2 types in the Informatica. In the real world, how we handle it, flat files are of 2 types. One is a delimited file. Another is a fixed width file. So Informatica will handle both the type of files to read the data. Delimited means you have a flat file and the number of fields in that, and which is separated by a particular delimiter. Your delimiter can be anything. It can be a comma delimited file, or it can be a pipe delimited file, or it can be a semicolon, or any delimiter. So your fields in the flat file are separated by the delimiter. So if it is separated by comma, we call it as a CSV, comma separated value file. If it is separated by tab, we call it as TSV file, tab separated value file, and all those things. It can also use a tab delimiter, or you can also use a space delimiter and all those things. How a delimited files will appear? So if you look at the delimited files, so suppose let's say we have a table called as an employee name. Let's say you're representing, and if these fields are separated by comma, employee name, salary, job, all these things. If you see, there are 3 fields in the file and each is separated by comma. So this is how the delimited files will appear. Suppose if you are representing a data in this, suppose let's say you have the employee name is this, and the salary is, let's say you have something like this, and the job is IT programmer. So likewise, the data will be present in the delimited files. So that is called as a delimited. When you say fixed width file, fixed width file will not have any delimiter. Fixed width file will not have any delimiter between the fields. So fixed width means it will be something like this. You don't have anything, it is like an entire on a single sentence, out of which you have to find out where your first field is starting and ending, where your second field is starting and ending, and where your third field is starting and ending. Fixed width means every time the field length will be constant. Suppose the field length, if you are defining it as 10, it will be constant throughout and it doesn't changes. And the second field length, if you're defining it as 5, it will be the 5 fields only, 5 characters only. Third field is 8 characters, it will be the 8 characters only. Now let's say I want to consider the first 3 and then the 4, 1 to 7 as a first field, so you can define that like that, 1 to 7 as a field 1, and from the 8 to 13 as a second field, and from 14 to rest of the characters whatever you have, 3 and then the 7, 14 to 21 is a other field. So you have to define like this. If it is a fixed width file, you have to define the characters. So how are you going to understand how your Informatica? Yeah, so if a field is less than, let's say suppose you're representing a one more name, and suppose something like what is the name? Okay, cat, something like this, and now I'm considering it as a 7 characters. So when you are actually preparing a source file, or your source team is actually sending a file, they have to make sure that they are providing a spaces, and your second field is starting from only from this point. They have to leave all these spaces. That means your source file should appear something like this. So your Informatica will not try and understand that if it is a field is having only 3 characters, it has to consider the spaces. I mean, you have to prepare the source file like that. And now let's say you have 45,000, and it will consider the 45,000 as a second field. Next thing, assume that he is a sales representative, and from this whatever is there, it will treat that as a space. Okay, when you're preparing a source file, you need to make sure that you're providing if the field is having a less number of characters, your source file should append, I mean your whatever the logic, I mean whoever is actually sending a file to you, they have to make sure that they have to append the spaces if the field is less than that 7 characters. Your Informatica will understand that completely as a 7 characters always. 7 characters always. So this kind of flat files we come across in the real time. So most of the times it is a delimited file, because we using a fixed width will have a lot of limitations, like you have to do a lot of validations in order to take all those things. But Informatica supports both the kinds of files. And here in this example, we are going to see a time.txt file, time.txt, which is a comma separated delimited file, which we are going to use it. So how the time.txt looks, how the time.txt file looks. So I've already shared the hands-on labs with you. If you open that hands-on labs document, that is your Informatica hands-on labs, and inside that there will be a folder called as a source files. So when you are practicing the hands-on lab, please download all the hands-on labs, I mean all these source files into your remote box. Here in this folder you have something called as a source file, that is your time.txt. So open that time.txt. Here you'll find the file name, that is which contains 3 fields: date field, day of the week, and the quarter. Date, day of the week, and the quarter. So these are all the 3 fields, and if you see this, first field contains the header, and all the other fields are separated by comma. I mean it is separated by comma. That's why it is called as a comma separated value file. So we have 3 fields in this, and now let's see how can we import the file into the Informatica. So the first step, whenever you are starting with a hands-on lab, first step is going to be how to import a source by using a source analyzer. Let's say in order to import the flat file definition, now I'm logging into the remote box, and yesterday itself I came to know that our client is installed in Windows and the server is actually installed in the Linux. And how to copy the files and all those things we'll see in a short while. Okay, so this is a source file directory which I have, and I have to import my flat file definition from this time.txt. This is my source. So now this is the new thing that we are seeing here, how to import the file by using a mapping designer. So always whenever you want to import a source, you are going to use a source analyzer tab. Go to the source analyzer tab in the designer. So how to log in for a new people, I'm just logging in again. So open the designer. Lot of So designer tab, how to get into the designer. So go to all programs and then go to Informatica 9.1.0 and then go to the client tools and select the Power Center client. From here you can select the designer. So once you select the designer, repository is already configured and you can log into the repository. Okay, so use administrator and administrator to log in. But for you, there will be a different user account. There will be a different user account which will be provided to you, and you use only that account to use it. Now I'm working. This is my working folder. That is your repo. So just go here, and we are going to define. I'm opening the folder here, and we are going to import the. So we have 5 tabs: source analyzer, target designer, and the mapping designer, maplet designer, transformation developer, and all those. We are going to use them for our mapping development. First thing is to import the source. So your Informatica will extract the data from source and then populate the data into target. So sources we are going to import from. So in the last lab we have seen how to import the source from the relational table. Now in this lab we are using a flat file as a source. So I'm using this option called as import from file. Import from file. So when you use this import from file, it is directly looking in my documents, but my file is available in the different folder, and yeah, I think it is in the downloads. Let me just go, and you have Informatica Labs. Under that I have a source files. So it is a .txt file. Make sure the field files type is alls. It is not a dat file. By default it will look for a dat file. So if you use a dat file, you will not find any files in the source file folder. Make it as all files, and then this is my time.txt. I'm able to locate the time.txt and then click on OK. Click on OK. So now Informatica will ask you to check whether it is a delimited file or fixed width file. So our file is a yes. You can use your own folder for a source analyzer. Yes. So the delimited file, once you have the delimited file here, this is a delimited file, this is not a fixed width file. So I'm selecting the delimited file, and now this is the name of the source which you have to, use it, time.txt. And now there is an option here called as a import field names from the first line. So what is the use of this is, suppose let's say you want to import the header as your field names, then you can select this option. So if you select this option, your Informatica will skip the header and it will start reading the data from the second row. Suppose if you don't have the header, then you should not select it. And this skip start import at a row, so it is by default it will start reading the data from first. I want to skip the first row, and I also want to import the field names from the first line, because first line is my header, so I'm selecting this option. So in case you have a requirement where your flat file has to skip all the first 5 rows or 10 rows, then you can make this to 10 or 20. It will start reading the data from 10th row or 15th row, something like that. So you can start increasing also. So if you make it as 11, what it will do, it will start reading the data from 11th row and it will skip first 10 rows. Likewise, if you want to mark the flat file to skip the some rows, then you can increase the number of rows which it has to skip it. So now I want the flat file, I want the Informatica to read from the second row. That's why I'm keeping it as a second. And once you select this, you can click on next. Yes, we are going to, I'm coming to that, Naresh, yes. So when you click on next, here there will be a delimiter option where you can select whether it is a comma delimiter or a tab delimiter or a semicolon or a space or the other type of data type. By default, Now by default it will look for a comma delimited file. If it is not a comma, you can select the tab or you can select the semicolon or whatever you want. If it is not comma, if it is not space, if it is a semicolon, so then you can use other and then go with the semicolon option here. Other, we can semicolon option here also. So you can uncheck this property or whatever you want to use, you can use it. And it is also possible that sometimes your delimiters will be two. Instead of using a single delimiter, your flat file might use two delimiters. Something like, suppose let's say whatever you're representing, instead of comma as a delimiter value, you have comma and the semicolon both. Comma and semicolon both. So how am I going to understand? How my Informatica will understand if I have a two delimiters? If I have a two delimiters on that. So to do that, when you go here, let's say I have a semicolon and comma both, select these two things and then assign it as treat the consecutive delimiters as one. What you are saying Informatica that whenever you find these two delimiters, consider that as a single delimiter. Consider that as a single delimiter. So you can also make sure that you are using that kind of a option. Treat the consecutive, if you have a, so this is treat the multiple delimiters as an, this option you have to check it. And by mistake, when your user is entering the data, by mistake, he has given two commas. Assume that he has given two commas. What will happen? So Informatica will treat this record as one field and this record as one field and this record as one more field. Because there is a delimiter, multiple delimiters, it will try to access that field as a one more field. One second, I'm coming back to that. Yeah. So when you have one more field, so it will start using it. So in that case, you can select this option called as treat consecutive delimiters as one. Treat consecutive delimiters as one. So that is the option which you can use it. Yeah. To answer the Pramit question, so I'm just coming back to that. So you have a delimiter something like this, right? So where you have a pipe and then all these values whatever you have. Suppose let's say you have a tilde operator. Yes. So you can directly use Informatica will just understand this. Yeah. Let's say you have a tilde operator and then you have square brackets and then or flower brackets whatever, and you have this. You just mention it as like this. Informatica, whenever it finds this complete character, it will treat it as a single field. You can just directly mention that directly in the other field. So if you have multiple things, so then we can use something like this. So when you have other, you can also use directly mention it and then use it. But in this case, we have only the comma as a delimiter. So I'm selecting the comma as a delimiter part. And I have selected all the things. I don't have multiple delimiters in my flat file, and I have only the comma as my delimiter. And you can just ignore it. Whenever you have a double quotes in between that, so you can just select this option. Suppose let's say you want to escape one character. Whenever you find that kind of a character, I want Informatica to ignore it. Then you can mention whatever the character that you want to ignore, that you can mention from here. Okay, escape character. And click on next.
One small doubt.
Yeah, Naresh, go ahead.
So if we give that other option and use that all the symbols, so do we need to give again treat multiple delimiters as an end?
I don't think that is required. Yeah, we can directly use it because whenever you select a multiple delimiters here, then only you have to select this option. Since you are using your delimiter directly as that, you don't require that to select it here. Because Informatica doesn't consider that as a multiple delimiters. It will just consider that as a character. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
You don't need it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Karthik, can you come back to the first screen? Can you click on that back button? Okay, here you see the start import. If I have a header here, if I give start import row at 2, will it skip header or it will just skip the first record?
It will skip the header. If you don't, sir.
So then what is this option, import field names from first line?
So you see here, when I'm actually using it, it is automatically detecting the field names from my first line. Date, day of the week and quarter. I never defined these fields. It has automatically read all the field names, whatever you have, date, day of the week, whatever you have in your txt file, it is automatically read it. So if you are selecting it, import field names from the first line, you need not to define the field names. You need not to define the column names inside your source definition. It will automatically consider those field names as your, those header names as your field names. You need not to do that. Okay, otherwise you need to define the field names in the source definition. Okay, so that's how you can select it, and then once you import it, you can just click on finish. It will add the source definition to your Informatica. It will add the source definition to your Informatica. Now if you see, automatically the three fields are being added. One is a date, day of the week, and then the quarter. So let's try to understand how we can actually understand this. So when you import it, here you can add the description, and suppose if you want to mention the owner name and all, you can mention it here. And then here you can also modify it. Suppose let's say while importing, you have a delimiter as a comma, and during the build phase, your business user has come back to you and then said that we cannot give you a comma delimited file and we are going with a tab delimited file. So how to do that? You need not to re-import it. You can just go to the advanced tab and then change this to the from the comma from the tab. You just add the tab delimiter and your Informatica will start accessing it as a tab. And you can also mention all the properties from here as well. You can also do that from here. And if you want to convert from delimited to the fixed width to the delimited file, and you can do always. And yeah, /t stands for a tab. /t stands for a tab. That's a ASCII character it will use. So, and the column names. So concentrate here. So whatever the column names that we have, it is automatically added. That is date, day of the week, and the quarter. So even though my date is a date field, I'm reading that as a string. I'm reading that as a string. Suppose if you want to consider the date field as a date, then your date should follow the particular pattern, then only Informatica will understand that as a date. So now currently, as per the hands-on lab, I'm reading it as I'm reading it as a string, and I'm going to convert that string to the date data type. Date data type by using the expression. I'm changing the it will consider the max length for each and every field column. So you're not sure that today you might receive a max length with 9 and tomorrow it might come up with 19. So you need to make sure that precision is being set properly for all of them. So that's why I'm setting it as 50, 50, 50 for all of them. Whenever you want to read the date as a date, not as a string, then what you have to do? Go to the properties. There is a date time format. So whenever you mention the date time format in this format, then only it will read that as a date. If it is a date format is different, then you need to modify this. Now in the flat file, what we have looked at, my flat file, if you see my flat file data, my flat file date is available in dd-mon-yyyy format. So if I want to read that as a date, then I have to mention here dd-mon-yyyy format. Then only it will recognize that field as a date. Otherwise, it won't recognize that as a date. So whenever you are using it, you need to change this. But in this scenario or in this hands-on lab, I'm not considering the date field as a date. I'm reading that as a string. String means it can come in any format. I'll just take it as per my convenience. I'm just going to convert that into this. And you have a next property is that which it will talk about the thousand separator. So whenever you're reading decimal values, whenever you're reading a numbers, whenever you're reading a numbers and you have something called as a thousand separator, sometimes we'll keep comma and you want to use some other thing as a comma or anything, you can just use all these values whenever you want to use it. Or if you just want to consider as a number, you can just use this value. And the decimal separator is a point, that is a dot which you are going to use. And this property is very important in terms of the real time. So suppose let's say you're reading the data from the flat file and you have a requirement that and whatever the data that I'm reading, today I'm reading a data from time.txt. Tomorrow I'll read the data from one more file called as a time underscore 2.txt or time underscore 3.txt. And as a developer, okay, so to just answer the Pramit question, A11 means it's a number of characters. You can count A11. What does that mean is that this is 2, 3, 6, 7 and then the 11. 11 is a number of characters that you are mentioning in the date format. Okay, A11. Okay, so earlier it was A19. That means it was having a 19 characters. So that's how it understands the format, A11. Okay, so this format, add currently processed file name. So when you use this, what will happen is that Informatica will automatically add one port. Informatica will automatically add one port, which is a currently processed file name, and this will give you the name of the source file what you are reading. So what is the use of reading the name of the source file? Let's say in the future you are you're going to use, I just want to keep track of all the file names what I'm reading, and I want to understand this. I just want to retain this value for my debugging purpose. So what is the use is that, suppose let's say you found that in the later scenario, whatever the data that I have received from this file is completely a false information or completely a duplicate information. I just want to reprocess that. So you can easily reprocess same file instead of processing all the data again. So that will help you to keep the file name. So in order to populate the file name, you have to always select this property, that is your add currently processed flat file name. Add currently processed flat file name, and once you add it, that metadata extension, and that metadata extension we have seen already in the previous labs, that you can add it and then apply. So you can apply it and then click on OK. So that's how you import the source definition as a flat file. Source definition as a flat file, and then you do import it. And now the next thing is that how we are going to import the target. So target is a relational table, your relational table which is available in the target schema. So in order to do that, I'm importing, this is a relational table. So whenever you're importing a target, go to the target designer, go here, targets, import from database, import from database. So when you use it, so I have my target schema in the user file, so I'm importing that from the user file schema. I have a lot of tables here, out of which I want to load only the ODS dot time. So ODS dot time, whatever you have, just select that and then click on OK. So now you have imported a source and you have imported a target. Let's take a look at the list of columns what you have here. So you have columns called as a date ID, day of the week, month, quarter, and then the year and the file name. You have these columns. But if you look at the source, you have only the date. You have only the date. Date that is also in the string format, and the day of the week. You don't have a month, you don't have a year, and you don't have a quarter also, which is a proper field. So now you can go back to your data mapping sheet, what is being provided to you. So how to access the data mapping sheet? So go here, data mapping sheet which is already provided to you. Open the data mapping sheet and look how the source to target column mapping is done. How the source to target column mapping is done. So if you look at this, here we are going to use two new functions. We are going to use two new functions from Informatica level. One is called as a substring, another is called as a to_date. What is the use of substring function? Substring function will give you the part of the string, and the to_date function will convert the character to the date format. Let's say when you open your data mapping sheet and then go to whatever the ODS time, whatever you have. So there is a mapping ODS time. From here you'll come to know what is a transformation logic that you are using between these two. So my source is a flat file and my target is a relational table. So how the date ID is being derived? So if you look at it, date ID is being derived by using a to_date function. So since the date is a character, I'm converting that date to a date data type by using a to_date function. So where do you access this to_date function in Informatica? By using a expression transformation. We are going to use expression transformation and then convert it. So I'm going to use a to_date and then do that. And similarly, how to populate the month value. Day of the week is a direct pull. That means you're not transforming anything. You're going to populate the day of the week. Next thing is how to derive the month, year, and the quarter. So if you look at the date, what you have, so look at the date value what you have, it is 1st Jan 1995. How can we derive the month field from here? So you can use a substring function. I'm going to use a substring function. So if I'm passing the string, okay, whatever it may be, so substring function. So if you are passing the string, so substring will take 3 arguments totally. The people who are new, substring will take 3 arguments. One is a field, another is a starting position, and the length of characters you want to read. How many number of characters you want to read it. So if I read from the 4th character, if I read the next 3 fields, that is nothing but my month. So I'm going to use substring of 4, 3, which will give me the month. So I'm going to extract the month field from my date field. And similarly, I'm going to use a quarter. I'm going to derive the quarter, and similarly, I'm going to derive the year. So go back to your flat file again. So look at your flat file. What is the value of quarter? Quarter value, it is being represented as 1995-1. So if you want to read only the year, what will happen? You can use again a substring function. So 1995-1. If I start reading from the first character and next 4 characters, whatever you want to use. So this is substring of 1995, 1, 4. This will give you the year value. Similarly, if you want to read a quarter field, then you're going to use substring of 6, 1. This will give you a quarter. This value is a quarter field. From the 6th character, I want to read only 1, so that will be populated. So now we have got all the values by using a substring function, by using a to_date we have got, and this file name, whatever is there, that we are going to drive it from the Informatica. So Informatica will give you the name of the file, and this you are going to load that into the file name port in the target. So this data mapping sheet, which you have to do it using during the design phase, as I have reiterated in the previous classes. So you have to do that in the design phase, and based on that you will drive your session, you will drive your mapping. Now you understand the source, what is the source, and you understand what is the target. Now we are going to load the data from flat file to the relational table what we have in the target. So to do that, how many steps we have completed here? Just come back to this step, and we have completed first 2 steps in our 8-step process, whatever is there. We have completed this. We have imported a source, we have imported a target. Next thing is that create a mapping with a mapping designer with a set of transformation. Here we are going to use a filter transformation extra. That filter transformation just works like a where clause in your select. So filter transformation is an active transformation because it changes the number of rows. That the filter transformation is called as an active transformation. Now go to the mapping designer and click on create. See, concentrate here. So go to the mapping tab, click on create, and then enter the name of the mapping, that is your m_ods_type. So click on OK. Now what is the source? Source is a flat file. So drag and drop the flat file here. And the next thing is here. So just arrange it properly. As discussed in the previous classes, your source qualifier transformation is something that which gets added by default to convert this thing. And the next thing is that I'm going to use a expression transformation to convert the date to the date data type and to extract the month, year, and the quarter. So to create the expression transformation, go to the transformation tab, click on create. Okay, so from the drop down you can select the expression, you can select the expression transformation and then enter the name here, exp underscore whatever. You're converting a date and you're extracting all those things. You can name it as expression convert underscore date. What and all are the fields that you want? What and all are the fields that you want? So drag and drop the date field here, and you need a day of the week as well, day of the week, and you need all these columns as well. So drag and drop it over here. So now you have expression underscore this. So in order to convert, we have to create output ports to convert this. So double click on the expression. Here you can add the description. Expression transformation converts date to the character date to the date data type and all those things. Character to the date data type. Character to the date data type, and if you want to rename it, you can use it. And go to the ports tab. From the ports tab, you can create a new port and then start converting it. So you can add the expression only to the output ports and the variable ports. Now in this example, we are going to understand how to use the output ports. In order to convert a date to the character date to the date column, I'm adding a new port called as a date ID. I'm adding a new port called as a date ID. Always whenever you're adding output field names, it will be out underscore date ID, and this will be the date will be the date timestamp. So assign the date as a date time, and then this will be your output. And I'm not going to consider the date field to my target, so I'm just marking that as an input field. So here I'm going to convert the date field to the, I'm going to convert a character date to the date data type by using a to underscore date function. All the functions will be available here. Whatever the Informatica supports, all the functions will be available here. If you look here, these functions will be similar as per your data type, databases, what you use in the database. Similar kind of functions are available. This is your to underscore date, which converts this. So here you have the syntax. To underscore date, it will accept the character and then the format which it has to do that. Suppose if you don't know the syntax, how you have to use it, how to proceed. Click on the help, it will open up the help document, and there you can verify the syntax of this thing. So where to verify the syntax? In the help, you can go to there is a content called as a transformation language reference. Under the transformation language reference, you have all the functions. Now I want to understand about to underscore date, or you want to understand about the substring, anything. So substring, go here. Here it will give you the syntax, how it works with the clear-cut examples and all those things, which you can access it from here. You can verify how the syntax works. All those things will work from here. So now I have to use a to underscore date. Let me just use to, double click on this, it will add it. And which field you have to convert? I have to convert go to the ports tab, and I have to convert the date type and date. Here I have to provide the format. What is the format of my date? If you look at the source file, it is dd-mon-yyyy, dd-mon-yyyy. So validate it, expression parsed successfully, and click on OK. Now you have the date ID which is ready. Next thing is the day of the week is a direct pull. You're not modifying anything. And the next thing is to derive the month. So how to derive the month? And I'm going to add one more field called as out underscore month, and month also, month is a string, so that's why I'm keeping it as a data type as string, and the precision is 10. And here I'm going to use a substring function. So to use a substring function, go to all functions, select the substring from here, and this takes 3 arguments. Sorry, not this one. Substring function takes 3 arguments, character, m and n. M is a starting position, n is a number of characters. So here substring of date, and out of which I have to read from 4th character, and number of characters I want to read is a 3. So validate it, expression parsed successfully. So click on OK. Now the month is ready. So the next thing is a day of the week. So you have the next value to derive the year and quarter. So this one I'm going to mark it as an input because I'm not going to consider this entire value. So to derive the, I'm adding a new field to add a year, out underscore year. So which will be again a string or a number. It can be even, you can consider it as a number as well and then convert. And I'm going to use a substring. When you know the syntax, you can directly write the things in the expression. So substring of quarter, comma. So I want to read from the first character, number of characters is 4. Once you add it, make sure that you validate the syntax, expression parsed successfully, and click on OK. So the next thing is to add out underscore quarter. So I need to even derive the quarter field. So derive the quarter field. This is also a string, and last character I'm considering it as a last character I'm considering it as a character. So substring of quarter, comma 6, comma 1. So validate it. This is the quarter field. Now you have derived all the columns. Still, now if you want to rename this column, you can just rename it. Rename it to file name because it is whatever the name that you have, you can rename it. Now if you see, I have derived all the columns, date ID, month, and you have a day of the week, year and the quarter and file name, everything is available. So in the properties, you'll have a trace level, that is a logging level, which you can use that logging level. So just click on OK.
I have a question over here.
Yes, I go ahead.
Yeah, on the window over there, when you double click on the expression transformation, it says default value is error. What is it?
Yeah. Whenever if suppose this string has thrown some error and you want to actually abort the function or you want to write it as a error as transformation error. What does that mean is that whenever this expression fails, it will write the error message as transformation error in your session log. Okay, so there is a other way also which you have to use. Suppose if this expression transformation fails and you want to abort the function, then you can also use abort function and then write an error message to the session log. So this message will be written onto the session log whenever there is a transformation error. Okay, error transformation. So that error message will be written onto the session log. So now I have got all the values in the expression. So the next thing is that I'm going to use a new transformation here called as a filter transformation. Filter transformation is used to filter the data. It works just like a where clause. So let's add a filter transformation. Go to the transformation tab, click on create and select the filter. Here you can add the data file underscore whatever the filter condition that you have. I'm writing this as a file. So the filter transformation name always starts with file underscore. So whatever the columns that you require, drag and drop. I require the date ID and I require the month, day of the week, month and everything. Day of the week, and you have the month and you have the year. Next thing is a quarter, you have the quarter and you have the file name. So these are all the things which you require, and these are all no more an output fields. Edit the filter transformation to add the condition. So in the transformation tab, you can add the description. As per the hands-on lab, our requirement is to load only the records which are greater than 12/4/1999. Filter allows the records which are greater than 12/4/1999, which means 12/4/1999, December 4, 1999. This is December 4, 1999, MMDDYYY format. So this allows the rows, and in the ports tab, if you go, these are all no more an output fields. So I can just rename it whatever I want. If I want to add a new column, same way how we did in the expression, you can just use it. I mean, if you want to add a column, remove a column, anything can be done from the expression. Sorry, filter. So the filter transformation is an active transformation. active, in the sense like it will filters the number of rows and it changes the number of rows what you are passing as an input. That's why it is called as an active transformation. And you want to go to provide the condition, go to the properties tab. Here you can write the condition what you want to write it. So whenever the filter condition is evaluated to true, then only it will allow a record to the next row. So this filter condition should be always a Boolean value, either true or false. If the condition is evaluated to true, it will allow the row to the next transformation. If the condition is evaluated to false, it will drop that row. It will drop that row. And this is a tracing level. Yesterday we have seen that is the logging level option. You can also set the logging level option at the each individual transformation level, but generally we do not do that and leave it as is. Always it will be the normal, and we'll use at the session level to do that. And the metadata extension is the same thing again. So whenever you want to add a filter condition here, edit it, and whatever the expression that you want, you can write it. Now, as per our hands-on lab, we are going to add a filter condition, which will be if the condition, date ID is greater than 12/4/1999. So what is the date ID here? This is a date ID. If date ID is greater than or equal to 12/4/99. So I'm just passing the date field, because the date ID is that. So you're going to pass it 12/4/1999, and which is the format as mmddyyy format, mm/dd/YYY format. So you have it here, and then the validate expression passed successfully. That means date ID, if it is satisfies this condition will give you either true or false. If this condition is successful, then only it will allow the row to the next transformation. Otherwise, it will not allow. Now we are done with this filter transformation. Next, we are going to write the data into the target table. So what is your target table? Your target is ODS_time. So drag and drop that target into your workspace. Drag and drop that target into your workspace. Now you have a date ID, day of the week, month, quarter, year, and the file name. So connect it. Date ID will go to the date ID column. Day of the week will go to the day of the week. Month will go to the month. And quarter field will go to the quarter. And year will go to the year. And then the file name column, whatever is there, that file name column will go to the file name column. So save it, whatever you have done. So now the mapping is valid. Here it will show you, this is the end of your mapping. So mapping is valid. So ODS time_valid. So now this we have done it. So we have completed the mapping. You can verify whether the mapping is valid or not. And this completes your mapping. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead with your questions now. And we have completed with only first 3 steps in your hands-on lab. Still we have few more steps. So these steps we have to do it and then run and then verify the data in the target table. So now we have 10 minutes left as per schedule. So if you have any questions, so just go ahead quickly and we'll try and create a session and workflow. Any questions here?
Hey, Karthik.
Yeah, Malik, right.
Yeah, I had a why we are using the filters. We can specify in the query itself, right? The subhistory as we specify. Can't we do that?
So yes.
Instead of
why we are using an expression transformation? Why can't you do these things in the query, right? That is what you're asking.
Right. Right. That's right.
Yeah. So now, if you look at it, this is a flat file. You can't query the flat file. Query is possible only on the relational databases what you are using, but I'm reading the data from the file, so I can't do that in the query. So I can't query the flat file by using this. So when your Informatica is reading the data, it will read the file through the copy command or by using the OS commands. So it cannot be applied directly on the flat file. Yes, this is true. If you are reading the data from the relational table, directly you can apply that in the query and then read the data. You can apply this, all these substring function, whatever you're using, a to_date, all those things, that can be that can be added if it is a relational table. So for a flat files, it is not applicable. Okay.
Okay. And for transformation, we are taking the filter, right? Karthik, instead of filter, can we put in the transformation itself, the query to the ODS directly?
Okay, here, yes. So there are two things that you have to understand here. One thing is that expression does not allow you the future to restrict the data. What it does is, it will just allow, I mean, whatever the input that you give, it will transform it and then it will give you. And it doesn't have a future to filter the data. So the expression, you can't keep that condition. So there is a only way to restrict the data when you're loading the data into ODS, that is by using a filter transformation. That's why I have actually kept a filter transformation, and we understood that how to use a filter.
Thank you. That's the question.
Okay, and how the file name will be pulled. So yes, we are going to see that your Informatica will understand that whenever you generate a session and provide the file name there, it will automatically pass the file name and then give it. So we are going to generate a session now. To create a session, I'm going to the workflow manager. We are using another client tool. So for the people who have joined new, that's why I'm closing this and then I'm reopening whatever the workflow manager and how you have to access it. We have 3 client tools, right? So we have 3 client tools: designer, workflow manager, and all those things. So all the source, target, and the mapping will be defined in the mapping level. And the next thing is to access the workflow manager. Go to Informatica client, Power Center client, and then we have a workflow manager here. Open the workflow manager and then create the session and then run the workflow. So to create the session, we are going to use, okay, how to log into this. So now I have the administrator and I'm going to log into administrator to do that. So it's logging in, and now my working folder is a repo. So the folders across the repository will be same. Folders across the repository will be same, and across the client tools also it will be same. So log into the repository. Now fourth step is to create. Fourth step is to create the session using the task developer. So I'm going to create the session using the task developer. Go here. I have this is my task developer, and to create the session, go here, click on create, and enter the name of the session. So the name of the session is s_m_ODS time. So always the session name will be the s_ the mapping name. So click on create, and you have to associate the session name. I'm associating it. That is your m_ODS time. So click on OK, and then done. And once you create a session, next thing is that you need to provide the connection or the path for an integration service. So how you are going to provide it? So edit the session, double click on the session. Here you can write the description. Session extracts the data from time.txt file and load into this ODS_time relational table, whatever is there. And if it is a relational table, you will provide the connection, but you are reading the data from the file. Go to the mapping tab, and to provide the path for a file, so go to connections. So for a file, you cannot provide the connection. You cannot provide the connection for a file. And now this is a target is a relational connection. Target is a relational. So you have to load the data into target. So what is my relational connection? I'm using a user file. So I'm selecting OLAP_user file and then add it. Now you have the OLAP_user file. This is where I have a target table which is available, and how Informatica is going to understand how it will read the data from the file. So the source file, you need to provide the path of the file here. So click on the sources, and here you can, this says that file reader. That means it is reading the data from the file. There are 2 ways of reading the file. So this is a file and it is uses optimized throughput. And there are 2 ways of reading the file. One is a direct mode, another is a indirect mode. So if you have to use a direct mode means your Informatica can read only one file at a time in the direct mode. So what is the use of indirect mode? That we will see in the later examples. So using a direct mode, you can read only one. So this is the $pm source file directory is the source file directory where your Informatica, Informatica server is available. I'm going to show you this path where it is available, and your source file name. What is your source file name? Time.txt. Time.txt is your source file. So as I said in the earlier, like my server is actually available in the Linux. My Informatica server is available in the Linux, and I have to place this file in the server in order the Informatica can read it in the source file directory. What is the source file directory, and how can we place this file into the source file directory? So we are in the real time also we are going to use a tool called as a WinSCP and the PuTTY to log into the Linux. So to log into the Linux, I'm going to show you how to log in. I'm going to place the file and then you can directly use it. So go to the client, Power Center client, and here you have the WinSCP, and then click on this WinSCP. Here using this WinSCP, we can place the file, whatever the source file that we have, we will place that into this. So in order to log in, you can use the info as the host name, and the username is root. And the password is Oracle. You just place that and it will give you the UI to place the file. This is a WinSCP. Which will give you to place the files from Windows to the Linux box. This is my local box and this is the server, what I have on the right hand side. Now my Informatica is there in which folder? In Home, Oracle and Informatica folder. This is my Informatica folder, and I have to copy the source file. My source file is available in my documents, in the downloads, and I have the Informatica Labs PDF, and this is the source file which I have. And I have to paste this file into source file directory. Where do you find that source file directory? 9.1.0 server info shared. Under this there will be a source files. There will be a source file directory. Here you have to place that file. So I am placing this file for every one of you. You can use this file as a source and then load the data into your individual targets. So to place the file into this, just hold your left mouse click button and then drag and drop into workspace. So it will copy that file into your time.txt file into this folder. This is the $pm source file directory. How does your Informatica understands that whenever you keep $pm source file directory, it has to refer that path. That path will be defined in the Informatica administrator homepage. Okay, once again. So let me just open the admin homepage and then show you where you can check that path. So in the Informatica administrator homepage, when you go to the domain tab, there is an integration service. So you can go to the integration service and there will be a tab called as a process. Okay, let me just log in again and one second. I hope you guys are not getting late, whoever is actually logged in from the. I need 5 minutes of your time, so we'll just complete that and then complete this hands-on lab. So this path, $pm source file directory, $pm bad file directory, these are all the paths will be set while installing Informatica itself. So it will, if you go to the processes, here you'll find all these things. $pm source file directory, it says that $pm root directory / source files. What is your root directory path? It is home, Oracle, Informatica 9.1.0 server, info shared. This is your path, and under that this is a source file. So it is going to use the source file directory and then reuse that. So now we have placed already the source file which is available. So, and one more important thing is that your Linux is a case sensitive. So you have to make sure that the path name, file name and everything is correct. Okay, here first I have given it as time.txt, which is a different path. So it will throw the error if it is not the proper path. So now I have provided a time.txt. And this is a source path which we have provided. It will go and read the data from this source file directory and then process the data. And the next thing is the target. Go to the target, mention here, this is a relational writer, and my target doesn't have any primary key or any index. So I can use a bulk mode and then load the data in this. So rejected file directory, it will write into the bad file. So the bad file directory also will be available in the same path. Yesterday, whoever has done some labs, it has written some bad files over here. So user4.txt, somebody who has written, and whatever that. So this is where you'll find all the bad files, user1, user4, whoever has done it. So you'll find all the bad files, it will be written onto the server. So while it is loading the data into the target, if it has anything, so it will write ods_time.user5. I'm naming it as user file because for everyone it will generate the same file. That's why I'm naming it as user5.txt. So it will write all the bad file names over there. Now we have provided a path for it, and then save the session, whether the session is valid or not. Verify session is valid. Next thing is to create the workflow. So you're going to create the workflow from the workflow designer. Go to the workflow tab, click on create, and then select the name as wf_ods_time. ods_time is going to be your file, and assign the integration service, click on OK. As soon as you create the workflow, it will add the start task and then add the task what you have created, session. Drag and drop that into workspace and add here as wf_ods time. And save this. You have connected, you have done everything, and make sure every time whenever you are doing it, you also select this path, fail the parent if the task fails. What does that mean is that if the session fails for some reason, it will also fail the workflow also. Parent is your workflow, so always select this path, fail the parent if the task fails. So save it. Now I do not have any data in my target table. So if you see whatever the data that I have, I do not have any data in my target table. So I'm logging into olap_user5. So I'm logging into user5 and then see, I'll not have any data here now because this is a newly, I have not loaded the data yet. So when I run this, it will load the data, it will extract the data from that and then load it here. So let's run the workflow and verify the results. So start the workflow. So when you are doing a hands-on lab, you need not to place the file again because I have already placed the file and you can start using this. Okay. So ods_time, if you see, this is already succeeded, and let's verify how many records it has extracted and what is the session log and all those things you can verify. So if you see, out of 3287 rows, it has inserted 1489 rows and there are 0 rejected rows. Why it has inserted 1489? Because we have a filter transformation which has filtered the data is using that. And now if you go here, you can verify the source statistics, that is your 3287, and then the target success rows is 1489, source failed rows are 0 and target failed rows are 0. And open the session log, make sure that you are verifying the session log throughout with the errors and everything. So you can go and verify. Here in this case it is a flat file. See here, it has started reading the data from home, Oracle, Informatica, server, info shared source files and time.txt, that is the one which you have. So you started reading from it and you have loaded the data into this. And it has also collected some performance statistics. I don't know who has enabled that feature. Okay. So now this is how you load the data from source to the target. In order to verify the data, make sure that you're using a SQL developer in the real time, or the Toad or something will use it. But here I'm using this preview data option. So let's log into this schema ODS time and then verify. See here, automatically it has given the file name for your integration service will read the file name and then assigns to this. So this is the name of the file what you have. So if you see, it has given you the absolute path, not only the file name. It has given you the absolute path from this, and you can verify the data. Now you have the data only which is greater than 12/4/1999, not less than that. So that is how you validate the data. I mean, that is how you read the data from it, and that is how you use the expression transformation and the filter transformation in the Informatica. Right. You can go ahead with your questions now quickly if you have it. So that completes the lab number 6 and how to use it. Okay. Yeah, real-time scenario will be the Linux will be in the different server. Only the client will be there in the developer's machine to access.
Still, at what place in the mapping you had given this file name? Have you mentioned $source file name somewhere so that it picked that variable and populated that file name in the table?
I've already shown that why it has actually added that. If you go to the source definition, if you open the source definition, I have selected this property here, add currently processed flat file name port. So it has added a column name here called as a currently processed file name, and this file name is populated into the target.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So the info Linux machine is the same network as this server. I mean, yeah, Syed, can you enable your question? I mean, elaborate your question. So the Informatica Linux machine is on the
Yes,
same
can
network.
you listen to me?
Yeah. You're asking Informatica server is on the same network?
Yes.
Yes. It is on the same network.
Because when you did the WinSCP, you didn't specify the full path. I mean, full host name. So you just use info. I was confused over there.
No, it's a domain host name I used.
Oh, okay.
Not the IP. I have used the host name of the path. Both are in the same network. I mean, even if it is in the WAN also, you can use the domain name, right?
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
But I was just confused. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So bad file is something that, when Informatica is actually loading the data, suppose it finds that this record is actually not suited. I mean, it is as per, for loading the data, suppose your database has rejected, or because of some reason your Informatica has rejected, all the rejected records will be written onto the bad file. So that is the bad file directory. I mean, even in the earlier example also we have seen how to write the bad file, how to write the data from the bad file. I mean, bad file data into this. Yeah. Yes, Brian, go ahead with your question. Yeah.
The filter is only used for when you extract the flat file, right? You don't use it when you extract like database relational table.
Yeah, if it is a relational table as a source, most of the time you can push that logic to the source query itself. You can write a source query and then you can use a where clause to filter the data instead of using it in the Informatica. It is not necessary always, and if it is required filter transformation, you can also use it for relational tables also. It is not necessary that it is used, I mean, it is not true that it is always used only with the flat file sources. It can also be used with the relational sources. But there is other way of implementation. You can push that logic to the database instead of using a filter, so that burden on your Informatica will be reduced. That's it. Yes, Nagesh, go ahead with your question if you have anything. Okay, that's it I have. Then if any other questions, you can go ahead. And Nagesh, you can ping your email address and I'll send you, I think you already received all the documents, right, from John?
I've not been able to find the documents because I've been given some path of the file share. So I'll email you. If you have your email ID, I can just email you, right?
Yeah, I'm just pinging you that.
Yeah.
1 second. Or you can just reach me also on my mobile number, and I'll just dropping my mobile number in case if you have any questions or for not finding the paths or something, you can directly reach me. Okay, then thank you.
Karthik, Srini here.